wanted to set up this video and chat with you guys today because I have been feeling so emotional at the minute. Like so emotional, so sensitive. Everything makes me want to cry and there's no reason for it. There's literally no reason for me to feel this way. Cyclically, with my cycle, everything like that, there is literally no reason at this point in my cycle for me to be feeling how I'm feeling. And I know that not everything's to do with your cycle, but I like to have a reason for everything. I like everything to just make sense, and when things don't make sense, I start getting stressed. I've always put a lot of pressure on myself to be positive and have a positive mental attitude because I've grown up around people who have always preached that. They've always wanted you to be positive and not talk about your problems and put a smile on your face and just go out and do what you have to do and be happy and positive. Now, from hearing that, you would probably think that I come from a really positive family and that everyone's really happy and everyone has reasons to be positive, blah, blah, blah. But it's quite the opposite, to be honest. Like, I grew up being told to be positive, but I was shown a completely different thing from the people in my family. So people would say be positive and don't complain, don't moan, don't do this, don't do that. But I would see everybody in my life mirroring that to me. Everyone would complain about everything. Everyone would always be ill for some reason. They would have some kind of ailment, or they would have some problem with somebody at work, or something bad would be going on in the world. They would always be complaining about everything, yet they would preach to me to not complain. And I was not allowed to complain because I was the child and I wasn't allowed to do that. So obviously growing up, I still complained anyway because I was like, what the fuck? Why are people telling me not to complain, but you're literally doing that? You are teaching me that that is how to be, but then you're giving me conflicting information. So I've always grown up like very conflicted, and whenever I feel like I'm being negative or I feel like I'm complaining too much or things aren't going my way, so I feel a little bit down about it, I feel so much shame and I feel like I shouldn't feel that way. It's so bizarre, it's so crazy. I'm giving such conflicting vibes today. I'm wearing like a running jacket and then I've got a blanket, but this demonstrates the vibes that I'm feeling today, okay? I went for a walk on my lunch break and it's really quite sunny today. It's quite nice, but internally, I just don't feel 100%. I don't feel myself. Something is weird. Something in the air is off at the moment and I can't quite understand it. One minute I'm really happy and then the next I'm really emotional and reflective. As a result of always being told, be positive, I've always been very stubborn. I don't know why. I'm just so stubborn. So I would always be like, well, why do I have to be positive when you're not being positive? I don't understand. Like, why can everybody else complain? Everybody else has the right to complain, but just not me. Why? And I knew for myself that when I had to bottle things up and when I wasn't allowed to talk about things, I wasn't allowed to complain about my problems, I wasn't allowed to bring anything up that was concerning me, I knew that that made me feel so shocking and so terrible. And I just didn't understand why I wasn't ever allowed to hash anything out. I was never allowed to talk about things. No one would ever talk with me. I was always told that children should be seen and not heard. And if I was complaining, people just didn't want to deal with me. So it'd just be like, shut up, push me to the side. And no one wanted to listen to what I had going on or listen to my problems. I just always had to deal with it myself. But I grew up so confused and so frustrated because I had all of this frustration pent up inside of me and I could never release it. I could never speak to anyone about it. So when I see people just in life, like when people are wanting to know how to be positive and have a positive mindset and be happy and all of these different things, all of these questions that we all have about life, I honestly feel like the main thing to be positive and like to feel good is actually to not bottle up what you're feeling, not feel like you can't complain about things when things are genuinely bothering you. We don't want to be a burden on anyone. We don't want to complain to people all the time, and like no one wants to be around the person who's complaining constantly. But I think there is like a certain level of tolerance for not complaining, but I think just sometimes talking about things. I don't even think that things necessarily need to get to the point of complaining about things. I just think that people should be allowed to have that space where they can freely talk about what's concerning them and what they're thinking in their mind. And a lot of the time, because we just let it build up and build up and build up, that's when it manifests as complaining. That is when it manifests as moaning and being negative. I've always had this inner knowing inside of me, because I just knew how weird it felt and how wrong it felt to be told to shut up and told to just keep my problems to myself, keep myself to myself, children should be seen and not heard, all of that bullshit. And I just never got it. And I've noticed in my life recently that that really does come up so much for me. When I feel like I have a problem, when I feel like I want to vent about something or just get something off my chest, I don't necessarily want to be negative. I don't want to be mean to anybody or like lash out on anybody. That's not my intention. Like, I want to just be able to talk about things and have someone be like, yeah, I get it. I think recently, not even recently, I would say since the pandemic, since 2020, people have been very inward and people kind of deal with things more themselves. People don't reach out to people as much. We work from home more often, so we don't reach out to people as much as we maybe used to. I know for me, I definitely don't, in the sense of, I guess my circle has just gotten a lot smaller, so I've kind of learned who I can speak to and who I can't speak to. But as human beings, we do need that connection. We need to feel like we are safe enough to go to somebody who we care about and they care about us, and be able to express what's actually going on inside of us and not have it be deemed as negative. I truly think the reason why so many people are negative and they complain and vent is literally because they have so much pent up resentment and anger and frustration built up inside of them, and it just gets me down so much. Like, it's so stressful to feel like I can't speak my mind without feeling guilty. And I know that I have people in my life now, like I could speak to my boyfriend about anything. He always listens to everything that I have to complain about or talk about. But I think it's just nice to have somebody who you can talk to and you can feel heard and you can feel seen by them. It genuinely makes me feel so much better. Like, a lot of the time the problems that I have are problems that I'm like, I would have usually have worked through by myself, and I would have had no one to turn to. I would have had no one to speak to about things, and I would just kind of try and deal with it myself. I would journal and do all of that, and that does help. It's a really helpful tool, and something that I always do. I always get my phone and I just set it on record and I'll just speak to myself as like a little video diary, because it's easier than typing or writing. But it is just so much nicer, and it just feels so good and like a release to actually speak to people who care about you and to be shown that other people care about you. I think a lot of the time we just get so wrapped up in ourselves and we don't want to be around like bad vibes. I think because we don't want to be around bad vibes, so we think that if we complain or like if we vent about something that we're bad vibes, and I don't think that's necessarily always the case. So I've been dealing with that a lot of the minute. Not even that, because I do have people to speak to, but I still have that lingering shame inside of me in relation to not wanting to speak to people about things and not want to complain about things, or I don't know. Not that I'm advocating complaining, but I just don't think it needs to be taken that far. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be complaining, and sometimes we do need to just complain a little bit, and that is completely normal. When I sit down and I film, like I'll sit on my phone and I'll just talk to myself and I just get everything off my chest. I cry, I get angry, I'll just speak whatever I want to speak into the world and I get it off my chest. I feel so much better. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and it really makes me sad that a lot of people don't have that. I know a lot of people personally who I can literally see the venom pouring out of them because they just don't have that outlet. They don't have that outlet to just speak to people, and it breaks my heart. It's people who I care about, and like I can speak to them, but because for them it's built up so much and they've got so much anger, so much resentment and frustration, that's a lot for me to deal with. I cannot personally take on all of that load, because if you give certain people an opportunity to vent about things, they do, like if they're not emotionally regulated and if they don't have a practice of journaling or doing whatever, they're just gonna pour all of that out onto you, and that can be really draining. So it is tricky, because I guess if you're feeling that, you need to get it off your chest. But I don't know, I just find it really sad that people don't have the awareness that they're allowed to feel negative feelings. They're allowed to feel sad. They're allowed to feel emotional and stressed out and anxious and whatever feelings that they're feeling. People are allowed to feel this way, and we get told like we're not meant to feel like this. We're told we need to be positive all the time, and like, how do we get a positive mental attitude and be really productive and positive? That is not the be all and end all of life. We don't live to be positive human beings. We don't have to be positive all the time. And I genuinely feel like this narrative is so damaging. It's so damaging to so many of us. And I really do feel like the more that you force trying to be a certain kind of way, trying to be positive when you don't feel positive, the more resistance you're gonna feel. I think I spoke about this last week. It must be like an early week feeling that I have every single week. I don't know, but I don't know. I just think that forcing positivity never worked well for anybody. And obviously there's a place where you do need to probably force a happier feeling state because you have things to do, and I've had to do that so many times, and I understand that needs to be done. But say if you had to do that, say if you had to go into work, so you had to force this positive mental attitude because you don't want to be that person in the office who's like fucking hate everybody, but you go into work, you use all that energy to be positive and happy. But just think of how, if you've been in that situation, you'll know how drained you feel after that day. You feel so exhausted. You feel 10 times worse because you've had to put on a show and you've had to pretend to be something that you're not, which never feels good. Never ever. It just feels exhausting. And like, granted, yeah, you'll have times where you need to do that, but I think you need those times. So say, for example, when you get back from work after that day, you need to be able to be like, no, I'm not setting any plans in tonight. I'm not going to do anything else. I need to just decompress and try and make myself just feel better in whatever way that I can, whether that's yoga or journaling, or even if you don't even want to do any of that. Even if you just want to sit in a dark room and just be in silence, I genuinely think that's what we need. And we need some kind of just outlet. Honestly, guys, I really do recommend just filming yourself talking because it really helps. Even this helps me so much. You would not believe. When I filmed that video last week, I genuinely felt so good. I felt so happy. And like, when I watched that video, I don't feel like I was complaining. I don't think I was being negative. Like at the time when I was filming it, I felt like, oh my God, no one's gonna like this video. I'm being so negative. I feel so down. Like I'm just gonna rub off all my negative energy on other people. And I didn't even think that I was gonna upload it. But when I was editing it, I was thinking, no, you don't sound negative. Like this is just you. You're being a human being. This is who you are. And part of the human experience is to feel negative feelings. I truly feel so passionate about it. And I think another thing as well, we are so hard on ourselves because a lot of the time when we want to complain, when we're feeling negative, let's say, there is a reason why we are feeling negative. Whether that's because you were brought up with people who have a very negative outlook on life, or whether that's because your life genuinely is in a terrible condition and you have terrible circumstances in your life that can make you feel negative. Of course, there are so many things that can make you feel negative. And for me, I feel like a lot of my negativity does come from my environment. I live in the UK, okay? And I feel like the culture of the UK is very bleak, very miserable, very sarcastic, cynical, passive aggressive. Like there's just an undertone of just doom and gloom in British culture. Obviously not all of British culture, but this is just kind of like my perception of it, especially when I'm feeling down. Like I perceive it that way, but obviously the whole British culture isn't like that. But I don't know if any of you guys are from the UK and you can understand what I mean, but like obviously today's no exception. The sun is out, which is great. We love that. I went for a walk today as well, and so good. But like the weather's always grey, it's always drizzly and raining, so like it can feel really, really depressing, especially if you are living in a town where everyone is just trapped in the rat race. Nobody has any kind of enlightenment of any kind. Like people just think that life is a 9-to-5 job, coming home from work, having a beer, having a glass of wine, venting about your problems, screaming at your kids, and then going back to work in the morning and then going to the pub on the weekend. Just all of the rat race tendencies. If you live in a town like that, that can genuinely drain your soul. It can drain your soul so much, especially if you are in one of those jobs that drains your soul. If you're in that 9 to 5 job and you want to get out of it, it can be so difficult to maintain a positive mental attitude when you are faced with these situations and circumstances. So when you're trying to sit there and think, how can I be positive? You need to think to yourself, you don't need to be positive. Like, if your life circumstances aren't great, you don't have to be positive every single second of the day. And that's not to say that never be positive, because obviously with life as a human being, you're going to experience different emotions. You're going to experience happiness, you're going to experience sadness, and all the spectrum of emotions. That's life. But to sit there and think that you have to be positive all of the time, especially when your life circumstances are dire and shocking, it's just unrealistic. It's not a realistic expectation to have of life. And because when we have a high expectation of what life should look like or what anything should look like, that is when we get the most disappointed, and that's when we feel the most broken and wrong. I don't know, I am just so tired of feeling like I need to be positive all of the time when that's not necessarily my reality. Now, is that to say that I'm just gonna give up on the thought of being positive ever because my life is a shambles right now and I'm working a job that drains my soul? No, I genuinely believe that life is how you look at it, and I think that you can be relatively positive, you can remain relatively positive most of the time if you look at things in a little bit of a different way. I think first and foremost, acknowledging the fact that you don't have to be positive all the time will massively impact how positive you feel on an average. Secondly, I know I talk about this all the time, but gratitude. Gratitude is one of those things that people talk about and people roll their eyes and they think, oh my God, not again, not another influencer saying about gratitude. What do they know? But truly, gratitude genuinely changes the way that you look at the world. I never did any kind of gratitude practice back when I was in school, like a few years ago, like let's say 4 years ago, I had no kind of gratitude practice or like conscious gratitude practice, and my life, like factually, it's very much similar. Like, I was in a relationship then, in a relationship now. I was in a 9 to 5 job that I hate then and now. I was in my hometown then, I'm in my hometown now. I was in my family home then, I'm in my family home now. A lot of the circumstances have not changed. I am in the exact same situation, but I genuinely, and I know it don't fucking seem like it because all I do at the minute on YouTube is talk about my problems, I guess, but I genuinely am so much happier and so much more content and fulfilled with my life. I think one being because of this, like I love having a YouTube channel. This has given me such a big sense of purpose, but I think even just regardless of that, having a gratitude practice, I genuinely think has changed the way that I look at things. It's changed the way that I seek out things to be grateful for during the day. Like, before I had a gratitude practice, I was not looking out for things to be grateful for. I was looking out for things to complain about. I was looking out for things that reinforced this belief that I'm a bad person and that I'm not worthy of anything. But when I implemented a gratitude practice into my mornings, and like, don't get me wrong, I don't do this every single morning, but I do naturally always think of things that I'm grateful for because I've just wired my brain that way after years of doing this gratitude journaling. But I just see things so much differently now, and I find joy in the tiny, tiny little mundane moments of every single day. Like today, I'm having a bit of a bad day today. I wouldn't even say it's that bad. I'm just feeling emotional and I'm in my feels and I'm feeling opinionated and I want to get on camera and talk about it. But even though I'm not feeling optimal, I'm not feeling like I'm living my very best life today because I'm literally doing a job that, I say it so many times, but I really don't like my job. I don't know if you can tell. But despite all that, I still find so many things in my day to be grateful for. Like the fact that the sun is shining, that it's been shining today. that has lifted my mood so much. I've been so much happier because of that. The breakfast that I make for myself every single morning, I make a conscious effort to make a really nutritious and delicious breakfast for myself every single morning, and that just makes me feel so happy. It fills me up for the day, and I just feel so fueled and energized, and I feel like I've given myself like a little small act of self-love and compassion. Or even like the grapes that I ate earlier, just little things. Like, there is so much beauty and there's so much joy and happiness and pleasure in little tiny things, and when we're not switched on to that frequency of gratitude, we don't notice these things. They just slip us by. So I genuinely think like gratitude has helped me so much in relation to feeling positive and feeling happier and fulfilled in my life. And I don't feel like gratitude has to be exclusive from actually feeling your feelings and acknowledging where you are at right now. You can acknowledge that you're in a shitty situation right now, but you can still have gratitude. And I genuinely think that that has changed so much for me in my life. But yeah, obviously there is tools, like I've just been mentioning, to feel positive, and there's so many things out there, and you can watch so many videos on YouTube that are going to tell you how to be positive and how to have a positive mental attitude and be happier and all that kind of stuff. But I just think it all stems down to just appreciating what you have as much as you can, and emotionally regulating, allowing yourself to just get your emotions off your chest and speak to someone, or if you can't speak to someone, speaking to yourself on camera or whatever. It genuinely helps so much just to get things off your chest. I've just been feeling today like just a little bit worn out, I guess. Like, I'm just feeling really tired and really burnt out. And I think for me, I think the reason why I'm probably feeling really emotional at the minute is because I feel like I'm living too much in my masculine energy, which quite frankly drains me. I never really was demonstrated healthy masculine energy in my life growing up. I feel like I was brought up around a lot of wounded masculine energy and a lot of like ego-driven masculinity, not really like the productive form of masculinity. The only healthy masculine energy that I ever saw was literally from women online who I didn't know. Like, they were the ones who taught me how to be productive and get anything done in my life, because a lot of the time, like growing up, I didn't really have that masculine support, that masculine energy support system. I just kind of had to figure everything out for myself, and I didn't really get a lot of support in a lot of things in my life. So like, I genuinely sometimes feel like I don't know how to be in my masculine energy. I don't know how to be productive and organized, and like, I do know how to be productive and organized, but it just doesn't come naturally to me. And when I feel like I'm working too hard and I'm doing too much, I really do feel so out of alignment. I feel like it's not right, and I feel like I'm happiest when I'm flowing in my feminine energy. Like now, just having this conversation and talking, it just feels so good. And especially now, like I don't really have any friends. I have a few friends, but like, I don't feel like I have any deep friendships anymore with women who I can really speak to, other than like my younger cousins who are like 18 and 20. They're my ride or dies. But other than that, I feel like my friendships are relatively surface level, which is great, and we need those kind of friendships. But sometimes I feel like I just need women friends, like sisterhood, women connection. I don't know, because now like I spend the majority of my time with my boyfriend, which is amazing, but then sometimes you do just need that feminine energy. Sometimes you just need to sit down and talk. So yeah, I miss that, I guess. I think that's like getting me down, because I just miss being able to talk to somebody in that respect. But then again, I don't, because I've got you guys, and I've got my phone, my trusty phone, whenever I want to like bail my eyes out. So there's ways and means. And if you guys are going through the same thing, if you feel like you've got no friends at the minute and you feel like you've got no one to talk to, blah, 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 like there are ways and means to go about it. Like, you've always got me, for one. And you can always journal, and you can seek therapy, and I'm sure maybe someone at work or someone in your family, I don't know, I'm sure there's someone who you could maybe speak to if you wanted to, but if not, like I say, journaling. But yeah, I just miss that. I miss friendship. Like, I miss having close friendship in my life. But like, at the minute, I am in a place of my life where I have to like boss babe it up and girl boss it up, and that's fine. We can do it, we can pull through. I'm gonna go to sleep tonight and I'm gonna try again tomorrow with everything that I need to get done. And we go every day, we try every single day, and we continue, we persevere because we have to. But sometimes I just feel like I want to rest, like I just want to relax, and I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor, even though there's no fruits of my labor at the minute. But like, I think I just want time. I think I want more time to be able to do chill things, like just to read and just to frolic, or I don't know, I just want to grow fruit and veg and have like my own little garden. I'm just in that phase at the minute, okay? So I'm feeling like really emotional, and like obviously life doesn't always cater for what we want, and sometimes we've just got to do things that we don't want to do, and that's fine. But it brings me a lot of peace knowing that what I'm working towards is something that is really going to build my skills up, and it's really going to develop me, and it's going to make me the best version of myself along the line. Like there is no way that what I'm doing now isn't going to come into fruition in the way that I want it to. It's just about when it does that, which is fine, like it's gonna happen. But I think sometimes on the days of that journey when you're just feeling a little bit sensitive, you're feeling tired. I feel exhausted today, so that's probably why I'm feeling in my feels. When you're having those days, it can just get a bit much and it can feel very overwhelming. And then I think sometimes, like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I tend to overwhelm myself even more. So I'll listen to more content and I'll listen to more audiobooks and podcasts and things like that, and I'll take in so much more information, and it's like, why are you doing that? I know that I shouldn't do that as well. At the time when I'm doing it, I know that it's overstimulating, but it's kind of like when I'm feeling too stressed, I want to block out the noise and not feel stressed, so I'll just add more noise, but then that makes me more stressed, which doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I'm just in my feels today, guys. But I guess I wanted to kind of share this moment with you and share these feelings with you, because this is all a part of the journey as well. Like having days where you just really cannot be bothered to even pretend to be positive or pretend to be something that you're not, which you don't have to be. Like you don't always have to pretend to be something that you're not. And if you're in a situation where you feel like you're just desperately searching on YouTube how to be positive and how to be happy and how to not be depressed or whatever, I think sometimes the first step to getting through these emotions is to literally just experience them and just to accept them. Even though they're uncomfortable and we don't want to feel them, the sooner we accept them as something that is happening in our life right now, the sooner we can just sort of move through them with no resistance, and we can get through to the other side, which is happiness again and just feeling good again. So I'm trying to be really, really conscious at the moment while I'm feeling so overwhelmed, and while I've been kind of having a few episodes of burnout, I'm really trying to emotionally regulate a lot more than I was before, because it's just what my body needs right now. And I think knowing what your body needs, if you need to moan and complain about something, you get your iPhone or your Samsung, whatever phone you got, prop it up, press record, and just moan, complain about everything, get everything off your chest, and honestly, you're gonna feel so much better. And if you wanted to message me on Instagram, my DMs are always open, so if you ever wanted to talk about anything, just slide into my DMs there and we can vent, girl, we can talk about things. I guess my main point of this video, and the main thing that I wanted to like hammer home in this video today, was just don't feel like you need to be positive all of the time. I know we want to be, and I know that we associate positive attitude and positivity with good feelings and happiness and abundance and all that kind of stuff, productivity, but like we don't always have it in us to be productive. And that is fine. It's completely fine. Can you tell that I'm trying to like really rewire my brain and get rid of all the shame around having any kind of negative feelings? Because honestly, it's so deep rooted. Like people tell us don't be negative all of the time, don't complain, don't moan, and it's just like, leave me alone. I want to be sad, I want to be negative, I want to just get everything off my chest so that I don't have to hold it inside of my body, because my body does not deserve that. I deserve to free the emotions from my body and move on with my life. Move on with my day and just keep it moving, especially when we're busy as well. We think, oh yeah, how do we be positive? Because we know we want to be really productive. But a lot of the time when we force ourselves to be something that we're not, when we force ourselves to try and be positive, it's just going to hold you back even further, because you're probably going to burn out and then you'll get to a point where you can't do anything at all. So it's always just good to emotionally regulate and get it off your chest. Do what I'm doing right now. Just film yourself talking. Honestly, I feel so much better after talking with you guys. You're like my therapist. I hope you guys are doing okay. I keep feeling at the minute like I just really want to speak with you guys constantly, which is why, so I did 2 videos last week. I'm going to be doing 2 videos this week, but I have a lot on my mind at the moment, and I feel like I don't just want to show you like the positive how-to videos all the time. Like I want to show you the process, and I want to show you like the days where I don't feel as good. Like in this video, you've literally seen me go through the motions of like how I'm feeling today and talk about it and kind of articulate it in a way that kind of makes me feel at ease, and it genuinely feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder, and I genuinely recommend it. But in relation to like the emotional thing that I said at the beginning, because I'm feeling really emotional and really sensitive at the minute, is there something going on? Is there something in the air? Like, are you guys feeling this way as well? You're probably not, but I just really am intrigued because I'm getting so emotional about everything. Every time I see a dog, right? When I go for a walk, sometimes I don't want to go for a walk because if I see a dog, which I'll see loads of them, I want to start crying my eyes out because it's so cute. And like, do you ever just feel so much love? Like, you feel so much love to the point where it hurts. This video, I don't know where this video is going right now, but I just wanted to get that out there in the end. Like, I genuinely feel like I want to cry at everything, and I do think it's because I'm exhausted and I think I'm a little bit delirious. But like, can you relate? Like, if I see an old man just sat by himself eating breakfast, which I saw the other day, I want to start crying. And that old man is probably having the time of his life, and I shouldn't even feel emotional about it. Like, he's probably loving life. But in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, like, why is he on his own? Oh, he's so lonely. Oh, he's got to a point in his life where he has to eat breakfast on his own, and I'm sat here with my boyfriend eating breakfast. Oh my God. All these thoughts run through my head, and I've been like this since I was a kid, and I don't understand why these feelings always pop up, but it's a lot to deal with. Anyway, I'm gonna love you and leave you. I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you guys are doing so well, in fact. I love you all so much from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that you all have blessed, amazing weeks, and I will see you guys on Friday. Bye.